Good morning, Pastor Ron Jetter, Immanuel Lutheran Church, Grnadview, Washington. It's the 5th of December, Saturday. Tonight would be the night of the lighted farm implement parade in Sunnyside, followed by lighted parades in Grnadview, Prosser, Yakima, other days. This would have been the 31st parade, and it was canceled. It's sponsored by the Rotary Group, in which I am a member, of which I was president until July 1st. And our new president has really struggled with how to lead a club where we can't meet. Rotary was started a long time ago by 3 business people back in the Midwest. And then they gradually added more, and it was called Rotary because they agreed to meet for lunch, and they would meet at a different place. They would rotate where they met every week. And they agreed on basic principles that this new thing that they were about to do, Paul Harris being the founding member there, that they would bless the community and the business environment. So businesses would work together to help each other, themselves, and the community at large. Rotary has grown to well over 1 million members, and it's in most countries. It has been the organization that has worked with the World Health Organization to eradicate polio, which we thought had happened until some cases erupted in Afghanistan a few years ago. And all it takes is to stamp out all of it. And when there's none, it can't spread to anyone. We understand that's what we want to do with COVID. Get to the place where nobody has it, and then nobody can get it because there's no one to get it from. But as long as there's one person left to get it from, it can start all over again. It takes a single person. In Rotary, we've learned the hard way through polio. But we've also learned the hard way that there's not going to be a parade. There's not going to be gatherings. That we as an organization have to work with civic leaders. We work with the city of Sunnyside, with the police department of Sunnyside, and together we made the decision that this year we would do something different. So it's a house tour, and you can go online to Sunnyside Rotary, and there will be a map on there that shows homes that are decorated. And we have a contest. We have sponsors, lots of sponsors that are willing to say, okay, let's give out gift cards and prizes to the best homes to decorate so that we still have an excuse to get out in our own cars with our own families, those people we live with, those people we're safe with. But we're all waiting for the next thing. We're waiting for that vaccine. We're waiting to eradicate COVID-19, and there's going to be a lot of problems and a lot of time, but we're ready. We're ready for it to happen yesterday, and it's going to be tomorrow and a lot of tomorrows. We've been searching for a pastor. As Immanuel Lutheran Church, our pastor John left in February, and the committee formed shortly after that. I began in March as the interim, and we're searching for the next thing. And today, in fact last night, a candidate arrived, and I won't mention the name because this does go out public. That candidate will interview tomorrow with the congregation, will lead us in worship, and today I will meet with that candidate at the church, and we will go over various things, explain what I've been doing, how we're going to do Sunday service in this hybrid, technologically complex environment in which we have found ourselves because of COVID, worshiping both in the church and online. So tomorrow, 10 a.m., join us to meet the candidate, and then online afterward. We'll stay on, keep that link open so that people can ask questions. And I'm ready for that new pastor to start. But what happened? It's like the vaccine. It is steps and steps and steps, and things happen in order. They don't just happen all at once. They happen in a logical sequence, and sometimes we don't know that. It helps to know that sequence. For vaccine, watch your favorite news channel or go online to CDC. For the call process in a Lutheran church, it goes this way. The congregation has chosen the candidate. The committee has interviewed this person remotely. Candidate's being brought out here from his home. The candidate's on site now in Grnadview, and we'll meet with various people on the call committee and the church council with me this afternoon, and tomorrow all of you. Then the committee gets together and says, how do we do? The candidate goes back home and says, how did I like it? And the committee then recommends to the council recommends to the congregation. The congregational meeting has to be called, and again, it takes 2 weeks notice to call a meeting. So if Tuesday night at the council meeting, the call committee says yes and the council says yes, then they immediately set a date for a congregational meeting, which would take place right in the midst of Advent, Christmas. Wow, what a time. So by the latter part of this month then, that would be the 8th, the 15th, 22nd. Wow, we're looking right at Christmas weekend. I don't know how it's going to happen unless we're able to meet a week earlier or something, the weekend of the 20th. We'll figure that out. And then the whole congregation will discuss. Are we ready to say yes? And if we take a vote, that vote then is communicated from the head of the congregation to the bishop's office that we would like to extend a pastoral call. The bishop then extends that call on behalf of the congregation. The bishop then signs that and mails it out to the person. The person can be notified by phone ahead of time that letter of pastoral call is coming, that the congregation has voted yes. And bishops don't say no if a congregation says yes, because the bishop's office has been the ones producing the candidates for us and helping that process. So they're ready for us to move along too. Then that letter would arrive, and was when the physical letter arrives in the hands of the candidate, late December probably. That candidate then has 30 days to say yes or no to that call, and hopefully that candidate has already said, yeah, I like it, I love Immanuel Grnadview, and that even by Christmas or the week after Christmas, the candidate has already communicated informally, when the letter arrives, I intend to sign it, and then we can begin the planning. So then January, the month of planning, getting ready, moving. Lent begins February 17th, Ash Wednesday. That's a realistic date to have a new pastor in place. That's still 10 weeks from now. So I'm not kidding myself that I'm going to hang it up and stop my daily messages anytime soon. You got me, you're stuck with me, and I will do my best to continue communicating with you. The book of Exodus, we've been going painstakingly through those 10 commandments because they really deserved the individual attention I gave to them. Now we're done with the 10 commandments. We're ready for the next thing. And what is the next thing? Well, the next thing is more commandments. Yeah, so and I'll let you read on your own some of this. I could go over it, but I could just enumerate too. Right after the 10 commandments, God then says, by the way, this is how you make an altar. If you want to make an altar to me, get a bunch of stones, and they have to be natural. You touch a chisel to that stone, I won't accept it. I want a natural earth, and if you find some wood, that's okay. You can shape the wood to help hold up the stones, but I want this to basically be a homespun, homegrown, man cave product, and that's where you'll offer sacrifices to me, and that's going to be the holiest place on earth, and it won't be anything fancy, and it won't be gilded, and it won't be carved. It will be a bunch of stones that you gathered and pieces of wood that you put together to hold it, and it'll look like a Boy Scout project and not the best. And God says, that's what I want. And I love that, because it says, I don't want you to go to so much trouble. You're supposed to spend time helping each other, build community, prospering, and that means hunting, gathering, farming, building, and all the things you need to do to be a working society. Don't go spending a lot of trouble on me. Great, you want to build a place for me to worship, or you to worship me? Put a tent and put a couple of candles in it, and put the tablets of the Ten Commandments in there, and don't anybody go near there, just because. And it's to teach them obedience. God then goes on to say, but I don't want you to fear me, except for in order for you to follow these commandments, there's got to be a little bit of fear, because you guys are just blatantly trampling all over each other. Now that you have freedom, you have to have some limits. Freedom without limits kills. You don't worship freedom to the point where you're losing everything. There's got to be the other side of that coin. There's the next thing, learning how to live with freedom, learning how to live with boundaries. And those boundaries will include, in chapter 21, slaves, which they just got done being slaves, and now they've got laws concerning slaves. It's a little odd, isn't it? Laws about violence. Wow. And that's laws about property. And it goes on and on. Finally, when we get to Leviticus, we'll find out there are 613 laws. And we're not going to go through all the laws, but the next thing for them was learning how to live with the boundaries, with the freedom, with the limitations, with the leadership they have. And for us, the next thing is waiting and preparing. We're ready, but it's not yet. It's not yet. I'm still here. For good or bad, I'm still here.